Everyone always wants to know what all the transitions are like. 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. And today I am going to be as brutally honest as I can and just walk you through what each of those transitions is like. We're gonna talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, things that help, things that you should probably take into consideration. So let's get into it. So first up, we have 0 to 1. And as you probably heard, this is the life-changing portion. So this is going to be so exciting because it is brand new. You are probably pumped, as you should be. Here are some things that make it life-changing, if you will. So you are going from having just you to care about. You know, you wake up in the morning and you get to go about your day. You're hungry, you get to pull yourself together, you go off to work, whatever it may be. Now you are going to enter in a baby. And why this is life-changing is because this baby is not going to give a hoot if you are tired or hungry or want to do other things, have other priorities. It does not care. That baby does not care about that. And that is kind of what makes it very life-changing. I know a lot of people on the internet say that having children is selfish, and maybe there is some truth to that, but I think personally, in those beginning stages of when you're going from 0 to 1, it is very selfless. And if you are tend to be like more of a selfish person, which is fine, it is going to be a large adjustment because you are no longer on your own time. You now have this other child. You're on their time, essentially, in the beginning while you're figuring things out. It truly just changes everything, like your identity, your marriage, your time, your life, like time. So you probably hear a lot of people say, you know, how fast time goes by, and you will realize once you have this little baby how fast time goes by because you're gonna see how much they grow and how quickly that happens. But also you are gonna have a different perspective of time, as in you're going to be wondering what the heck you did with all of your time prior to having a child. Right now, if you don't have any kids, you're probably like, oh, you have all of your time buckets filled. For some reason, once you have your child, you're gonna be like, I had all of the time in the world back then, even though right now it might not feel like it. I said marriage is going to change that, hopefully for the better. I think once you have a baby and you get to really know who your partner is, hopefully it is for the better. But sometimes this is where it can be really hard with division of responsibilities and all of that. Anywho, moving on, it's also your first. So you are going to be overthinking and Googling and just questioning so much. And you have the utmost love and concern, and you don't want to mess up, and everything they do, you're wondering if they're doing it correctly, if everything's okay. I'll tell you right now, all of those feelings, especially when you have all those postpartum hormones going on, it's totally normal. You're gonna get through it. But with your first, everything, you're just like so caught up in what this little baby is doing 24/7. So it is all consuming. I think you can read all of the books, you can watch a lot of the parenting content, but nothing will like truly prepare you for having your first kid unless you're like living in it, especially because all babies are so different and all moms, dads, everyone's different, your life environment, everything's so different. Something that might be able to help is not downloading like those apps that like tell you when your baby is supposed to reach specific milestones and stuff. I would avoid that because it can cause a first-time parent so much stress. I think, you know, if you're just taking them to their regular doctor follow-up appointments, they will let you know how things are going and what things should be done. The apps can sometimes stress you out because they'll be like, by this month they have to be walking, and like, in all honesty, you'll take them to the doctor and like, you have months, like you don't have to worry about that right now. So just try to stay off the apps because they can really like derail your precious time with your itty bitty baby. And then also trying not to consume a lot of motherhood content on the internet. I know you're trying to do your due diligence and you're trying to make yourself like more aware of parenting stuff, but sometimes it can do more harm than good. So I would just be very careful or picky about what motherhood content you are consuming. Just relax, it'll be okay. Ride the wave. All right, other than that, I don't really have any tips. Like, you just have to live it. All right, let's talk about the transition from 1 to 2, which is chaos. I truly think what heavily impacts your experience going from 1 to 2 is age gap. I feel like let's talk about 2 under 2 because that seems really popular right now. And I'm not saying not to do it, and I'm not saying to do it. I think that's something you need to make up for yourself. Things you need to consider. When you have 2 kids that are very close in age, it is high demand. So when you have an itty bitty baby, they have extreme demands. Babies, like, they can't do anything by themselves. They need you for every step of the way. And even when they're between 1 and 2, they need you for a lot. Most of the time they're still in diapers. They can't really talk a ton yet. So it's high demand. Like 1 to 2 years old, it's still very high demand. So when you have 2 that in those 2 age groups, it is extremely high demand. Whereas sometimes when you have bigger, larger age gaps, let's say like 3 or 4 years old, it's a different experience, especially like if you have like a 6-year age gap. It is a much different experience bringing a baby home from the hospital because your older one can understand what's going on. And not that you want them to help you, right? Like you don't want your kids to be the mom per se, right? But they understand what's going on and they almost want to help. Like they want to hand you a little diaper to help you change the baby. They want to hold the baby. They want to play with the baby. It's just a much different experience. Just because they're a little bit more independent as they get older, they still very much need mom, but in a different capacity. So another thing with 1 to 2 is when your second one comes, you are already in mom mode. So it's not like you're entering into a whole new life like you were when you went from 0 to 1. You already know what to expect from a baby, what that whole like time is like. So that part is not what's chaotic. Like you already know what you're getting yourself into. Where chaos also enters is now you have to figure out how to divide your focus, because up until now, as I mentioned, you have this one and all of your time and energy is truly focused in this one person. And now enter child 2, and this is where it's a learning curve where you have to figure out how to focus on both children, making sure you're giving both of them attention and such. I know a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, they're worried when they're pregnant with their second if they're going to love their second child as much as their first. I promise you, you will. Promise. I know a lot of people have those doubts when they're pregnant, but when that baby comes out and is here, it will all click, I promise. So it's chaotic in a sense where you've got like a toddler, even they're 2, 3, whatever it may be, running around, and you know, they're crazy little things and you want to make sure that they're safe. What is difficult now is that like you're trying to focus on them, but you also have to have this baby with you all of the time who has such high demand. So sometimes that is just stressful. Some people can do that really naturally, and some, you know, you have to figure it out. Nothing wrong with that. You just figure it out as you go. Another thing that's tough is when you had your first, you know, you could put them down for a nap and then you kind of had you time. Now you can try your best to align their naps and such, but you don't get as much you time anymore. Like during the day, it feels like a constant go, 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 because if the baby is fine and happy, then the toddler kind of needs something, and then if they're fine and happy, then the baby needs something. It's just like always something that you kind of have to navigate. My biggest tip going from 1 to 2 is learning how to baby wear. I know with your first, it's not like a huge priority, or maybe sometimes you tried it and it wasn't for you, but when you have that second child, it becomes like a necessity because you need both of your hands, right? Your toddler's sprinting around everywhere. You need to be able to grab them, hold their hand, whatever it may be. So I think trying to find a baby carrier that works for you helps a ton. Also, lower your standards. It's gonna be a little bit of time before you figure out how to handle 2 kids. Let's talk about the transition from 2 to 3. And this is all about logistics. Having the third is a logistics operation because you now have to figure out the car seat situation. A lot of times you have to get a brand new car. Well, a used. You have to get a new car because you have to figure out how to fit 3 car seats safely and probably a double stroller in the back. Also, your housing situation, you have to figure out if you're gonna have to do room sharing with kids or if everyone's gonna be able to get their own bedrooms, number of bathrooms, all of that stuff. It is just logistically a little bit more tricky. Number 3 enters. You are so beyond confident in your mothering skill. Obviously, when you go from 2 to 3, everyone says, you know, you have to switch to zone defense because now you don't just have one parent to one child. Completely outnumbered. And yes, it is chaotic, but let me tell you, it is somehow more chaotic, but you become way more calm as a mom. I don't know how this happens, but it happens often. Any other mom that I've seen that has like 3 or more kids, it's just all of them have the same like features, like same characteristics of just like you're so much more relaxed. And I think that's because by the time you get to your 3rd, you truly have a concept of time like no other. I know once you have your 1st, I mentioned, you start developing this time concept, like time goes by fast. When you have your 3rd, it is like no other. I have never been so like ruthless with my time and just really instinctive about where time is going. And that really clicked in once I had the 3rd. I'm not necessarily busier in a sense, I'm just more careful about where my time goes. I think you become more calm because at this point in motherhood, you have truly learned what you can let go of and what not to stress about. Like, let me tell you, the first 4 months of my baby's life have flown by like no other I've ever experienced before. And I think it's just because your other kids are getting older. You're not really concerned about all of these milestones anymore. You're like, oh, they'll learn, they'll figure it out, they'll get there. And you just kind of learn that like every child is so different. I don't know, I truthfully think having the 3rd has made me such a better person overall. I feel like, yes, more chaos. With 3, you know, one of them at some point is always crying. If it's not the baby, it's the toddler. If not the toddler, then the preschooler needs something from me. Like, it's non-stop, don't get me wrong. It is a lot of work, but somehow the most rewarding and like happiest part of my life I've experienced thus far at the same exact time. So yes, heightened chaos, but also extremely calm, extremely happy. My kids' ages are 4, 2.5, and 4 months old. So I don't really have any tips on going from 2 to 3 just yet, because I am living it. But if you have any tips, certainly drop them in the comments. I'd say so far, again, baby wearing, absolutely. And just trying to be as present as you can with each kid. I try to make a big effort during the day to just be connected with the 4-year-old and then just be connected with the 2.5-year-old, even if it's just for a few minutes, just so they each get their time with mom. I think that's really important. But anywho, I'll probably have more to say on tips for 2 to 3 in a year from now, but for now, that's all I've got. I have to say, last comment is a lot of these things depend on your village. I know there's a lot of talk about village, and I have a small one, but I have something. So I have my parents and my aunt who will help me no matter what. But that's all I have, which is a lot. I also have daycare. I pay for daycare. I think that counts as a little bit of a village, but that's what I have. I know other people have more than that. I know people have less than that. So I think who your village is also really depends on your transitions as well. Anywho, if you made it this far, that's wonderful. I will see you all in the next video, and it was nice talking. Bye.